Life. Oh, life isn't easy. Life is hard. When man fell in the beginning and chose to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil where they were told not to, the consequence of life was that it would be hard and that we would have to understand what the consequences of being our own God is. And that is, we have to be the gods of our lives. And that means we become these adults who live based on what we can do. And then God sent Jesus and said, I am going to help you through this life because I'm going to ask you to be like Jesus, who was actually God. And I'm going to ask you to give up your godness, as Jesus, who really was God, did. And I'm going to ask you to be like a child, because there's nothing least like a God than a baby who has to trust in a other person to take care of them. And that is what I am growing in this time. Is God is saying, Matthew, will you give up your godness? Will you give up your power? Will you give up everything? Will you give up your control? Will you give up who you are? Will you give it all up to a thing called faith in me and by my Spirit? And will you give it up for me to take care of you? He says things like, I take care of the birds and I feed them and clothe them. I even clothe flowers. And I want to clothe you and I want to feed you, but you're not free. You're locked in to this mentality that it's hard work. The world's hard work. Versus the freedom that Christ had. It's the hard work led by the Holy Spirit. It is the man that is walking in the dark, and if there's something there, he'll trip. Big deal. He gets back up and he trusts and he walks and he walks.